All right. We are back here today, and I would like to say welcome once again. And this is the Gracious Hope live broadcast. We are live streaming here today, and of course, it is a marvelous Saturday, and we have in our studios today the FADIGA Brothers, and we will be talking about that true life story. Gracious Hope podcast is about finding the good in people and what they contribute, and it will get to understand people for who they are and how they grew up, knowing their background. We will better appreciate them a whole lot. So the Fadiga brothers are here today with something very fascinating. The fascinating things you don't know about a twin's life. They are twin brothers, and they have a whole lot to talk about here today. And we are so glad to receive them on our program as our special guest, Al Hussein Fadiga and Hassan Fadiga. The Fadiga brothers are renowned twins who hail from Liberia in West Africa. They now reside in the United States. And what is so unique and fascinating about these look-alike brothers? How does that life story weave into the narrative of the Liberian culture and faith in God? And that is what we'll be talking about today on the Gracious Hope podcast. And we'll be featuring or we'll be talking about their challenges and the tenacity to overcome life obstacles through faith in God. So join us here today, and then we will look at some other areas too, how they typically tell that story to maybe match up with yours, or you could learn something from there. And we'll be looking at their family life and things that they have gone through and their success today. Life is a journey, and we all keep going, but knowing each other or one another is what the Bible wants us to do. The Bible says that we should look out for each other, our interest. We can lay aside politics, we can lay aside every other thing. By the end of the day, we are all humans, and we have other things that other people don't know about, or other things that we do that other people don't know about. So some of the fascinating things that we don't know about these brothers will be dominating our discussion today. And we'd like to say welcome once again. And of course, our co-host, Reverend Suah Deddeh, is here. Reverend Deddeh, welcome once again to our podcast for this Saturday, the FADIGA Brothers from Liberia.
It's good news when you discuss your own brothers from the mother's land. It gives me pleasure when I don't discuss the bad, but the good. Because you see, Liberians are multifaceted. We are gifted with a lot of gifts. And I see we're trying to use those gifts not only in Liberia, but in the diaspora and anywhere else you can think about. That's why I'm really looking forward to talking with my two brothers. I call them brothers because we are from the same place. We have our destiny in God's hands. So I'm glad that Hassan and Al Hussein, I got to get used to the faces and the names.
I know. It can be confusing at times.
Yes, I got to be careful
Yeah.
when I'm discussing to know who is Hassan and who is Al Hussein, so that we can enjoy the discussion. But you see, Ellis, everyone has got a story to tell, and we
Yes.
really want to listen to this story today. And I say to God be the glory for great things He has done, and
And
indeed
great
greater things He will do.
he would
So
do.
let's talk about our brothers, Alex.
Yes. And please share this link with your friends, your family, your relatives, or anyone. Share it so that others can be part of this program today. And our podcast here comes to you every Saturday. If you're in Liberia, it comes on at 8 p.m. GMT. If you live in the central zone, time zone, it is at 3 p.m. On the East Coast, it is at 4 p.m. Pacific is 1 p.m. Pacific time. So you can get to our website, www.gracioushopefellowship.com, or go to our Facebook page and click like or follow. And of course, you can watch our previous videos as well. And it's a podcast, of course, that focuses on contemporary issues that affect the Christian life of faith. We tend to promote and preserve our Christian heritage. And so, without much ado, we are so glad to bring the brothers here, the Fadiga brothers. And of course, this is Al Hussein Fadiga. And of course, we have Hassan. Are you there, Hassan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, okay. Well, welcome to the Gracious Hope podcast this Saturday, and we are so fascinated by the way you carry yourself in every way, and it motivated me to call on you. I sent an invitation, and Reverend Dede, when I told him that you guys will be coming on, he was very joyful because we are interested in the story, the Liberian story. We all, have some sort of genealogy and that we can, talk about to people. But unless we talk about how we do things and how we perceive things, people get to better appreciate us. So we are so glad to have you guys here. So now let's start off here. Let us start with your story. I know I see from the picture here, uh, when you guys were babies. I don't know who is Hussein and who is Hassan. Who is on the left
You know what?
and
I
who is
don't even know.
you don't know?
I,
It's been so long. Is
I,
this your dad?
Yeah.
yes,
Wow. Okay. It's been so long. And while looking at these pictures, okay, but you can tell from here, right? You know who is who here, right?
Even that one, I don't know. Well, I
I
think
think
I'm in the back.
I think it's Ahasa in the
We
back and Hussein in the
no.
front.
No, I think
The
Hussein in the
first
back.
picture, the first picture you can know because I'm a little bit taller than Hussein, so I'm taller than
oh
him a little bit. So that one I could be on the left
yes, you could be on the
Okay.
left. Okay,
because
I see
I've
here.
been taller than him. I'm taller than him. That's the only way, but
I see.
Okay.
So what was it like growing up in Liberia? Tell us your story as a twin, both of you growing up.
Anyone can go first.
well, Hussein, you want to go?
Well, I grew up in a typical Liberian home. My dad immigrated to Liberia way in the 60s. So that was way before we were born. He spent all his life and he lived and died in Liberia. Um, my mom is 100% Liberian. My dad naturalized later on, and became a Liberian. But
Which country did he come from?
my dad came from Guinea. He left
Okay.
during the time of Suki, according to him now. He left during the time of Sekou Touré when they were running after certain group of people. So he went to the Ivory Coast and spent some time there. Later on, we come to Liberia. And I think at that time we had that open door policy where we're embracing most of our neighbors and people were fleeing. Most people kind of settled in Liberia, I think. Yeah. So you know the story. So a lot of people was born himself in Liberia. He got naturalized, and he worked for Firestone for 30 some years, and he died there. He actually lived there until he passed away. So he spent all his life in Firestone. Yeah. So he worked for Firestone almost all his life. Yeah. So
So
yeah.
Wow.
in what capacity work with Firestone? In what
He
capacity?
worked as a teacher. So he was a French teacher. So everybody call him the what name they call him? The Frenchman. So he worked
French and
as a
math teacher.
French and
Uh,
math teacher.
French and
And
math.
then yeah, so he worked for the company. I mean, 30 something years. So he would do. Yeah, and he worked up to his death. So he died while serving that company.
Wow.
And then
Fire.
yeah. Well, my mom is kind of mixed. She a little American Liberian, a little Bassa. We got some. She grew up in Nima County. So yeah, but she mostly identifies as Bassa because we have a
Mm.
house in Bikeno. We're born in Bikeno at the Lamco Hospital in Bikeno. Went to high school. I think I left to go to college. That's the only time we left from Bikeno, even to up to the wall. I think we're on the second to the last train that left from Bikeno, and we went to Yekepa and then brought. So that was around 1992. So I
Hmm.
lived all my life in Liberia. I grew up in a typical home. I was, and this is something that most people don't know. The name and it's strictly Muslim name. My dad was a devout Muslim. My mom a Christian, a missionary. Before she became Jehovah's Witness, she was a leader in the African Methodist Church. So what most people don't know is that we're born in the church. So we identify as African Methodists. I got baptized. We actually got baptized in the African Methodist Church by the late Reverend Dr. G. Franklin Holt. You know, this. I don't know any of you familiar with Buchanan. So I was born and raised in Buchanan. So went to that little church on the hill there. Second Sunday school. So, but most people still believe that most people believe that we are Muslim, but actually, we are Christian.
We are Christians.
Yeah, we don't talk about it much, but yeah, we grew up in the church. So I grew up in a typical middle class Liberian home where you can't eat red oil on Sunday. It has to be. I go. It was like it was I was a very typical Liberian.
Wow. Yeah. And is your mother still alive?
Yes, she's in Atlanta.
What is her name?
Yeah.
Christina Marsha, Christina Sarah Marsha. Everybody know her from Buchanan. The White House by the government hospital. I mean, the thing about Buchanan, it was before the war and everybody, different people came. Buchanan is a family-oriented city. So it was people knew people on a last surname basis. So you will see the Greaves, the Nolan, the Dees. So that's how people refer to people, or Mr. D Songs, Mrs. Marsha Chudre, and my mom went by the name Christina Marsha. So we were right by the Bedell Funeral Home. She had a house there, and she used to be the head nurse at Flour Mill, where they used to have to make the flour, the National Milling Company. And then she was the director of nurses at the government hospital up to the war. Even after the war, when we came back, they got her position back. So she built her house right by the hospital up the hill there. It got burned now. One of the doctors burned it, and that's a whole different story. A couple of years ago, during Ellen times, they had some doctors there. I think they left something on and the house burned.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, grew up in Buchanan. Went to high school, graduated from high school before moving to Monrovia.
So has the house been rebuilt? Has the house been rebuilt?
No, it's a complicated thing. I don't think we have pursued the case because actually it was the government of Liberia, a doctor that burned the house. And we still have a case, but it's just that I know being here is a process.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed.
And so, Hassan, how was it like growing up? Both of you look alike when it comes to like dating in high school, when it comes to like doing some other thing. What are some of the challenges you guys face with people?
Well, growing up in Liberia, we didn't face much challenges in Liberia when we were a kid. The only thing is, unlike other twins, we detested wearing the same clothes. So we always wanted to be our independent people and a person. So he had his own style, I had my own style. So we're a little bit different. When we are walking in the street, people stare at us. It was a little bit embarrassing. Probably that's the only thing we faced. But besides that, most people admire us the most growing up. When they see us together, they really admire us. And like my brother rightfully stated, we grew up in the church. In fact, we used to sing in the church choir.
In the youth choir.
In the youth choir, the Sunday school. We used to have Sunday school at our house, so we're really involved in the church. But most people, when they see us, especially with the Muslim name, they assume that we are Muslim. But we did grow up in the church, and my mom was a permanent and a citizen of. Is still a permanent citizen of Grand Bassa County. Most of the people that were raised in Buchanan probably would know my mom, would know my brothers and sisters, because they were very popular back in the day. So that's how we grew up.
Wow.
And we too were popular. We're popular in Buchanan. A lot of people knew us. People that grew up in Buchanan knew us.
Were you guys popular because you look alike, and people admire you because you look alike?
I think because we look alike were one of the things, and then we were for the most part because we look alike.
Okay.
I'm interested in follow up on Ellie's question, which you dodged cleverly. I want to go back to that. Was there any time? Was there any time that your girlfriend makes you both of you up and say, you know what I'm talking about? Did that ever happen?
I know, and I okay. I didn't go further, but when we were growing up, I think there are two kind of twins. From my personal experience, there are twins that love to wear the same clothes. They dress alike. Even when they grow up, they dress alike. They do everything the same. My brother and I, we were a little bit different. We hated wearing the same clothes. If he's wearing something, I want to wear something else. So we try because every time we wear the same clothes, people stare at us and walk in the street. People come, oh my God, look at him. And then we have to start and engage in small talk. It was just tiring. So we decided to live separately. He has his own style, I have my own style, and that's how we have been living. So in terms of women, it's true. Some of our girlfriends get confused, but most of the time we signal them for them to know that, oh, I'm not Hassan or I'm not Hussein, and then they will get to know. But I think for the most part, when you have stayed with us for a while, you will get to know the difference. You will get to know that we are not as resemble as people think when they see us for the first time.
So what is the difference, Hassan?
I'm taller than Hussein. I have a gap. My gap is bigger than he. I think I have a wider face, and I don't know. There are other distinct feature that if you see her in person, you will be able to identify and differentiate.
I
Mhm.
see. I see.
Okay. So, what did you want to be or become from your childhood? What were you dreaming? What are some of the career or educational career that you wanted to become? What kind of career that you had in mind all along?
I grew up like the typical kid wanting to be a doctor, and then later on, I think early on in life, I always wanted to work in law enforcement. I think I was fascinated with law enforcement from
Why
childhood.
so?
I don't know. Okay, one of the reasons is during the war, while we're walking, I saw people with arms taking advantage of people and little kids disrespecting older people. And because they have firearm, people were so afraid, so petrified of them that anything they say, they would have to obey. And they took advantage of so many people. And every time I think about that, when I think it's one of the things that drove me to law enforcement. The advantage, the disrespect. And I wanted to hold people accountable. I said, when I grew up, I want to be able to stand up for people, stand up to bully, stand up to people that take advantage of people. I think it was one of the things that drove me into law enforcement when I growing up.
Hussein?
Well, I'm not in law enforcement. I'm a total opposite. I hate guns. Uh, uh, we have probably I don't know how many guns in this house, but I don't look at guns. We got all kinds of guns. I just do not like guns. So my brother want me to he's like, oh, you need to get gun because I'm like, I don't like guns. I don't have a gun problem. I don't. I just don't like gun, and I think it has to do from the war. So
Mhm.
yeah, like my brother said, he been fascinated by gun. So early on, when we graduated from high school, we joined the NBI. We were hired by the National Bureau of Investigation before it was dissolved in only NSA. We used to work with the National Bureau of Investigation. That was our, well, technically first job I worked before fleeing to exile. So, but then I lost interest in it. My first passion was architecture engineering. I did that at the Polytechnic up to I think it's junior or senior. I think junior. junior year, and then we left and went to where we went to the Ivory Coast. We spent some time in the Ivory Coast, and but let me just stick to the question. So I've always my though when I left and came to the States, I don't know why, but up to this date, I kind of regret because I was pretty much good at it, architecture, engineering, and it came naturally. My dad was an artist, very good artist. Even though he worked, but he used to paint. Most of those art I used to see at the airport and on Rana Street. There used to be an Indian guy on Rana Street that had his handmade post card and thing from Liberia. My dad used to do that before the war. But then, where they used to have the real showroom on Rana and Broad Street, between there,
Mhm.
those gift shop. My dad used to do most of those things. So at the airport, those African things, you see the funny thing used to be showcased. My dad used to do most of those arts. So
Mhm.
that's why he did part time, So up onto the war, even after the war, he still used to, but it messed everything up, so he couldn't. Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, he used to give most of the things. So when I started to do the architecture, engineering, keep naturally, but when I moved to the States, I did IT. I did network security and forensic.
Mhm.
Uh, I worked a couple of times in it, and then I worked in the aviation industry. And then when I went for my master's, I did health and human service. So now I work as a clinician. I do diagnostics, assessment for a company.
Mhm.
Hmm. It's interesting. It's interesting how you don't like guns, according to you, but then you work with the NBI. I'm looking at the correlation
No,
there.
that was, like my brother said, advantage. And the funny thing here is, when we worked for the NBA, my dad did not know work for the NBA because my dad did not like Chester at all. He hated Chester. One day he came from Firestone. He came to the city and he was going back Firestone. So we're on Broad Street trying to get a taxi to go to ELW Junction and then go to take the other taxi because I think it used to be Broad Street to the junction, and then you take the
Mhm.
car to go to Habel. And then before getting in the taxi, uh, we put him in the taxi. He got in the taxi, and then another passenger sat with him. And then he said, "What you know the training for that? PP security." Oh." my dad, my dad said, "My dad, hey Georgia, but he's a cool, calm guy. He did not say nothing. He went. He went. He was like, my children, security what? I thought the guys were in college, in Moreover, they're sitting to college. He didn't say anything. So one day we went to visit him to collect some money for school and other things. And he came, he sat us down. He said, "Young man, what are you guys doing in Moreover?" We said, "No, we have to get in there. We got a kind of lie in it." But he didn't like Chancellor at all. He didn't like, he was not a big fan of Chancellor. And he didn't want to associate him with anything that had to do with the government. So
So did he
Mhm.
resign after your dad's interaction? Did he resign both of you for
no,
NBI?
well, we ended up leaving. Well, there was a commotion. We were suspended for some time, and then we had some altercation with another agent
Mhm.
at the place at the office, and then we were suspended, and then we had to leave to go to the Ivory Coast. Our people had come out, and we left. Went to a dynamic.
Wow, that's
Wow.
interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, go ahead, Elise.
It is. And if you're just joining us, we are here with the FADIGA brothers, the twin brothers, and they are telling the story. And you may have interest in it as well. And we'll be right back. But to you, two brothers, think about some of the lessons from your mom and your dad that help you so much up to now into adulthood. We would like for you to share those lessons with us. But we'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, and we are back. We are back. So, would you share with us some of the valuable lessons that you learned from your parents that make you who you are today, Hassan?
Well, yeah, that's a good.
I
I
think you
think you hear
muted
the
your
question.
microphone.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
muted.
his
He
microphone is
muted.
muted. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Hussein.
Hussein. I think Hassan is muted.
All
I
right.
don't know.
Well, the thing is, one of the things that really prepared early on was we grew up very fast. Not only were we taller than most of our classmates, I think we graduated at the natural age at 17, 18. I was already out of high school, getting ready to go to college, and
Mhm.
even with the war and everything, we kind of did things like normal kids. So right after graduation, we moved to Morovia,
Mhm.
and we stopped with my aunt up Mama Point. It was like the Zion. We were there for a couple of months, and my dad was this person that both parents they stress on honesty, honesty, and every training that we ever got at home uh prepare us for where what we are facing today. Because unlike other people, my dad was the kind of person that um he trusts you even if he doesn't trust you. He doesn't show
Oh,
it. That's what I mean. So I would go to my dad for money and like this semester I taking 21 credit, you know why? They put carry the price off. And then you're like, oh, probably something will happen. And, you never know. You will add an extra $30 on the money that I was already lying to get.
Mhm.
That's one of the things, something. And I always wonder why is it my dad trusts me so much? He said, son, I'm not gonna go check behind you. But today or tomorrow, if I die, you and I say, Daddy didn't send me to school.
Mhm.
That was a treaty. And even now, I try to do that with my daughter. Like, even though, because sometimes the guilt will feel the guilt so much that I'll let Daddy know that we lie. We just took some of that money. Because it's a heavy burden to put on someone. Trust.
Mhm.
Most people take it for granted. But there's a young kid. I go to my dad, and say, oh, you know what? This money, we're gonna my school fee gonna be $250. And probably when I go to school, I ain't going to take 21 credit. I probably go take 18 credit. I eat the rest of the money and all the other small things that will add up there. And instead of him giving you only the $250 and complain, he like, you know what? Something can happen. Let me just add extra $10 there, put this other $20 there, and then in case of anything, and deep down in your heart, you know that, yeah, we already finished something. I'm just going to go tomorrow. We're paying for school. My dad never went on campus to pay my school fee or register me or do anything. Everything we had to do it ourselves. So at 18, 19, I'm doing these things. Well, we started up at Liberia College of Technology on 14th Street. Before I went
Mhm.
to the Polytechnic, we used to be at, they used to have the representative Kewu. I
yeah,
don't know whether you guys can meet. Eh?
yes, Kiawon.
Kewu. He used to have this school on 14th Street in
Mhm.
Single there called Liberia College of Technology. So I started my computer science there. They were actually my first introduction to computer started from. And then when I was transferred to the Polytechnic, I started to do uh, the architecture engineering. So we were at the Polytechnic, and yeah. So one of the things that we learned early on was trust.
Trust.
My dad is the man that found $50 during the war and went in the village to ask you only $50. That's how much he was. Uh, he was very big on moral, and that's one of the difference between I think we are a lot of people. You don't get that a lot in Liberia. Most of my colleagues, most of people that I grew up with are people that were not as fortunate as some of us that have parents, father, mother, figure out that structure, that family structure. Are seeing that most people didn't have people to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
So when they grew up, what they see in politicians, in other people that they look up to as role model became their mindset. And even when we got into politics and all the stuff, there you see that. Most time I would support this person if your vision doesn't align with mine, or morally or spiritually, physically, I would disassociate myself with you. And we're like, oh, flip flop, Alex, it's not flip flop. I just cannot, blindly support something that I know that doesn't conform with my value. So they were big on value, and of course, we grew up in the church. That to have its own impact on you, knowing that there is some higher being out there, some unseen hand out there that is watching everything, and that there will be consequence for your action or inaction in anything you do in life. So those are the things that guided us. And when we left, like I said, at 18 years old, we're out of the house. We spent some time with my aunt up on my point. And one time my dad like, you guys are 18. And then we started having problem with my aunt. That was another family stuff. But then my dad came in one day and like, you know what? You guys are big enough that you can live on your own. My mom was completely opposed to it. My dad like, Sarah, they are 18. So he gave her money. Oh well, before I bring that, I said, let me tell you so the first experience we had, so we went in single to this guy to rent an apartment. Well, they're two young kids, came from Buchanan, don't know the city life. We met this guy there. Apparently, he a caretaker, got no connection to the house, giving out money. That was the first time knowing that people can steal your money, actually. He ran away. He didn't own the place.
Scam.
So we went back to our dad. My dad said, well, you got that other experience. How did he know that this guy owned the place? We said, we didn't know. He said, well, it's good you got that experience. And my dad, apparently, he knew that all those things would happen. He just left her out there like that. So that person would eat our money. In fact, it happened twice. This per boo woman, she have another house. She had her husband, I think, have a house right between Rana and Benson Street. They're right in the corner there, not to the side. We are opposite where we are Sports Center used to be. So we are Sports Center is here. The place are opposite there, between Rana and Benson Street. There. They there's another guy too that rented us, Jerry Kamara, that Purple other son, rented us apartment out there and turned out being not for him. So that person ate her too. So we had to learn that other one. Then the next thing, my mom will find a place up on my point, and then we'll move and we've been living on our own since. So it gotta make us to grow fast, because when we go to school, especially being in the polytechnic at that time, most of the guys from St. Patrick, most of those well-to-do middle class, wealthy like Brady had the children there. So sometimes he's like, all my friends still living with their parents, and I gotta come here, like out of living on my own. But I mean, a lot of those people, life kind of changed for other us. We took different turn, but I think it was good that we got that experience. So what we actually learn from there is that value, respect, honesty.
Yeah, that brings us to the next question, and then Hassan will come in. I see on your Facebook page you say Hassan is a realist and an advocate for social justice. So would you elaborate on that?
Well, for most part, most people, like, I don't know how early you came off social media. I don't like to toot we don't like to toot our own home, but actually,
I
we
think you
were
got
among the first people that made Liberians to start talking on social media. So when I started on social media in 2007, we started off with a page called TMZ Liberia. But then the page was anonymous. Nobody knew who TMZ was. I started that page, and then my brother would join me later on, and we started to run that page. That page became the meeting ground for every Liberian in the diaspora.
Yeah, it
Then
was
where
popular.
people would cuss each other from morning to night. I was sharing his yeah. So but then Facebook never had group, they never had chat room, they never had nothing. It was just personal page, and then they added the chat there later on. So we'll all be in the chat, and then they came with group. So when it came with group, we had the largest group at that time. The largest, I think 20, 30,000 people. But then it was very difficult to get that much people in your group. Before
Yeah.
then discussing Liberia came and then other groups started coming. So we were among the first people that actually had Liberian, people talking on social media, interacting and finding, relatives and sharing historic things. So, I lost my train of thought with the last part of the question.
Okay, but what I was asking was that you said on your Facebook page you are
Yeah.
a
So
radio.
yeah. So that is how the social the advocacy started, and then it will morph into politics and we and then I started a radio. I started the radio. It was TMZ Web Radio, and then it became very huge. I think it was very successful. We had one of the largest radio in the diaspora. We had our own studio. We brought issue in the press. I had like 5 or 10 programs on the radio. Were featured on every newspaper. Al Jazeera did a, a,
Mhm.
a, a documentary on the radio station. Um, Channel 7, Fox News,
Mhm.
ABC News, NBC. I mean, uh, everybody. I mean, we interview almost every representative from Minnesota.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a regular radio station, even though it was an online podcast. But every representative, senators, political aspiring, we interviewed them. We ran a full studio.
Hmm.
Yeah, we ran a full studio until I guess
Mhm.
things happening.
Are you talking about Radio Africa? Is it Radio Africa you're talking
Yeah,
about?
Radio Africa.
Okay.
I started Radio Africa. I mean, I Jerome. Most people thought it was I Jerome that had the radio station because they were the top journalists at the time. But yeah, I was quietly run. I produced all the shows. I produced Issue in the Press, Reloaded. The only show I didn't produce was this guy, J. Kai Freeman. He has some show out there called Relations Diary. I didn't
Mhm.
produce that. He already knew about radio, so he was there. For most of the other show I was producing 3, 4, 5 show, including issues in the press, which
Mm,
were very big at the time.
Mhm.
mm,
So yeah, so that's how it. And the biggest thing, one of the biggest achievement was the Ayrton loan. When we investigated the Ayrton and Ibomaf loan, my brother and myself went to Hong Kong. We were there for like almost a week investigating that loan, and we broke that story. I think that when people knew us in Liberia, but many people on social media. But I think that was one of the biggest, our biggest break, if you would say it. And I've been advocating since. I just slowed down for personal reason, Liberian politics.
Hmm.
mm,
Yeah, so
mm. That's
So has
interesting. That's interesting. Did you have any media training? I'm just curious. Did you have any media
no,
training doing those things?
no, that's a stupid thing. Um, No, well, I got IT, but IT got nothing to do with media. Before I created that studio, I have never been in a regular studio before to
Mm,
do everything. Well, I became one of the best sound engineer
hmm.
because if you listen to my past podcasts, I mean, I was producing 100% quality sound. Even our shows on social media, different stuff. Maybe it's the IT email from there. I will visit other studio, and then we had like new station coming. In fact, it was the Minnesota Post that changed the radio station name to Radio Africa.
Hmm.
ah,
The Minnesota Post did an interview. Minnesota Post is a newspaper in Minnesota, very big newspaper
Yeah.
in Minnesota. So the Minnesota Post heard about us when we're always on the news doing the Ebola and other stuff, and they wanted to do an article on me. When they came to the studio, and I made the front cover page. I don't know where I put that thing. I think the last time was with my mom. She had that newspaper. It was called. So the headline was "This is Radio Africa," and they had me in the green shirt. I think I have that picture. So it's on Facebook. And sitting there, and I made the cover page big from the front down, and it said, "This is Radio Africa." And I'm like, you know what? We want to change the name.
See,
So the name came by coincidence.
Yeah, it was TMZ Liberia or TMZ Web Radio.
yeah.
But when he did that article, I'm like, you know what? This is Radio Africa. I would just change it Radio Africa.
So Hassan, what's up with you? Because I see I was taking all the time, man.
Okay, and it was good you observed that, because it's another unique thing about us. I'm not a talker. I usually write. He's the talker. That's why he's on the radio. I stay in the back and analyze things, and then I will forward it to him. I'll say, "Did you observe this? Did you observe that?" And then I'll forward it to him. So I'm more analytical and more in the back, and he's the guy that do a lot of talking. So.
Yeah, it just show. That's great. Just show.
Yeah, so and most of the time on Facebook you will notice that I do a lot of writing. Yeah, but I think you saw me going in and out. I had problem with my mic, and so I couldn't hear the program. That's why I was going in and out. But I changed my phone, and I think it's much better now.
Yeah, it's much better now. And then lessons that you learn from your mom and your dad that you can share with young people. All lessons that you learned that make you who you are today.
I learned a lot from my parents, my dad, obviously, and my mom. One thing I learned from my dad is honesty and humility. My dad, like my brother stated earlier, my dad was an honest and humble man. He was someone with wisdom. My dad, unlike other typical Liberian dad who will beat you all over your body or hit you or spank you, for lack of a better term, my dad spanked us, but he never hit any part of our body beside our buttock. So my dad would be having a conversation with his friends in the living room, and you would do something, he would come out and tell your friend, "Excuse me, gentlemen, 1 second. He's going to take you in the room. He's going to tell you, he's going to give you 25 lashes, and trust and believe you're going to get 25 lashes. You're not going to get it all over your body. You're going to get it on your butt. He's not going to beat or whip you in front of his friend or shame you in any way. He's going to spank you on your butt. You're going to lay down. He's going to spank you. He's going to come back outside and talk with his friend and have a normal conversation." He was one that in our house, if you speak the truth, you're not going to get spanked. So if you take something from the fridge and he asks who took it from the fridge, and you come out and said you took it, you're not going to get spanked. If you lie and he found out, you're going to get spanked. So I think later on in life that transcended into something that made us bored. So bored in the sense that most people in Liberia, they're not accustomed to truth telling. Truth telling, they're not accustomed to being bold and assertive in their communication. So I'll give an example. One day, one of our friend called, or mutual friend called, or he said, "My man, it's not like you guys. Why you guys write on Facebook? It's not the truth, but you guys just say the thing, yeah, raw, my man." And most people in Liberia will not like you because people like to embellish. People like to put essence on the truth. They don't just say it like the way you guys say it. For me and for us, when we speak boldly and we say the truth. And he said, so in the community, a lot of people will frown upon that kind of thing. And the one thing that we learned early on in life from our dad, truth telling. So that's why I call myself prophet. Now, a lot of people, when they hear the word prophet, they think about the religious aspect. I'm not a religious prophet. We are prophet by definition. Prophet are truth teller, people that tell the truth, people that profess the truth and speak the truth. That's how we coined that phrase, Prophet.
Prophet.
Yeah.
That's great.
Wow.
So you're a truth teller, and
I'm a
I'm
truth
gonna
teller. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna read something for you, and then I will ask you to just briefly comment on that. I'm reading it from your page of the Radio Africa, and you say expose it post Henry Costa in the spotlight. Henry Costa, a few days ago, you received US $25,000 from the government source. Now, is that truth or false?
100% truth. And I will tell you this. I like Costa. Contrary to what people think, me and Costa, we're friends before we're cool. But we have fundamental differences. And that's where where I think a lot of people get it messed up. But to answer your question, the information is 100% authentic, 100% true. If you follow me,
have a phone number saved.
if you follow us over the year, there's one trend you're gonna observe in us. If I'm not sure of an information, I'm not gonna put it there. Because people hold to high standard, so I try to live up to that standard. If the information is not truth, I don't post things on Facebook to be malicious or for likes. I post truth because we have a certain brand that you're supposed to hold up to a certain standard, and I want to live up to that standard. That's why every information I put on Facebook, I verify my source and dot my I's and cross the T before I speak it. It's true. I got an I cannot disclose the source because it's risky for them, but the information is 100% authentic. And I will encourage you guys to ask Oscar.
We should ask Costa.
Yeah, ask him and see what he's gonna say. Unfortunately, I haven't heard anybody asking him that question. Even on Spoon TV, I did not see anybody asking him that question. But the information is 100% true.
Okay, and I understand also that you guys were involved in politics. You were part of a movement advocating for rights, for good governance. What happened? I know you guys should have been part of the protest to advocate for good governance, and I think later on you got fell off. Is that a reason why, or any reasons for doing so?
This is what happened. This is what happened. In 2018, prior after the election, a group of Liberian former government officials, politicians, just prominent citizens and advocates, they got together and we formed a group called Save the State. So in Save the State, we're coming up with ideas on how to hold the WIA administration accountable. And we brought up the idea. I was one of the chief architect behind the protest. I brought up the idea about the protest from 2018. And the premise for that protest was to hold George Weah accountable, those corrupt officials that were within the government, to ensure that they get fired, and to weaken his position at that moment. So when we started putting the protest together, there were a couple of people in the group that saw the idea to Costa. And when they saw, they had their own agenda. When they saw the idea to Costa went on social media and put it there. So they reached out to me. I was not too happy about it, but they reached out to me, and we were looking at the bigger picture. It was not about who brought up the idea. It was about how we can make this idea a reality. So when Costa, Weka Jaliba, Muhammad Ali, Darius didn't reach out to me, I embraced the idea, but there was a caveat to me us embracing the idea. I said the only way we can join the protest is if Darius Dillon and Costa will not head the protest. So if you go back to the first video that were interviewed with Darius Dillon, in the video he announced that he and Costa they were going to be the spokesman for the protest. So my next concern was I wanted for the Liberian people to take ownership of the protest. We wanted for the protest to be a movement controlled by the Liberian people, the ordinary Liberian, the market seller, the pimping riders. We wanted it to be in a half. We had serious reservation when some guys within the group brought in Sano Johnson, Oscar Cooper, because those guys were senators and they also form an integral part of the government. So we had issue with them being, in the protest. But anyway, we formed a consensus with them, staying on the protest, and then we decided to work together. I mean, things were going on fine until we received the first disheartening news that they had a secret meeting with President Weah and some other officials. So it was the head of the EFFL, Emmanuel Gwangwa, that revealed that information to us. He said he got the information from Bishop Brown. I think Bishop Brown, the head of the head Liberian Council of Churches or something at that time. So
yeah.
So we brought it up within the chat room, and I said, because they were, for the most part, the protest, they were relying on me, on my guidance, to move the protest forward, because since I brought up the idea and what we're gonna do. Now, based on my law enforcement security background, so I was in the forefront of the movement. So I told them they shouldn't meet with any of these guys we have got for now. Why the government is nervous, we should stay in the back and continue our stance, not to meet with the government, continue to agitate, continue to put forth our idea, but we shouldn't meet with the government. So they were having secret meeting with the government. And then later on, when we were becoming too technical, they suddenly created the COP. And they said the COP, from now on, the COP were not going to be taking, the COP were going to be the governing movement for the protest. They were going to be making decisions and making decisions. A good movement, we started a good movement, everything was going on smoothly. And because someone wanted power and someone had their own agenda, they did not want to listen. They formed the COP. So that's where we broke away. And then they went and said that we had arms in Guinea and we wanted to go to Liberia to overthrow the government and all kinds of things. The only thing we said, I said, Joe, we have to resign because he was not governing properly. He should resign. So that was our argument, and then they changed it. Then later on, they don't call me and told me that the government offered him 200,000, but he refused it. Then, according to someone what
was the offer for? What was that offer for? What did he say?
The protest. To abandon the protest. And then Costa and some other guys, they met with the UN. The ECOWAS delegate, and they said they said the protest cannot last for a day. So they came out with a mutual understanding that the protest to be held for a day. And in fact, COP signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Liberia. And in the memorandum of understanding, I have a copy. If you guys want a copy, I can give it to you. I still have the copy. They said that.
So we need a copy of that.
Okay. COP, the government of Liberia were going to direct COP where to go, where to stage a protest, and how long they should stay at the protest. Now, you have a movement that was gaining steam. You have a huge movement. How, in your own wisdom, can you sign a memorandum of understanding with the government that you are protesting against? And the government will tell you where to stand, where to protest. Protest is supposed to be spontaneous. It's not supposed to be something that will be guided by the people that you're going to be protesting against. So we strongly frown upon that. And we started hearing whispering around with Zoe Penner going to, Representative Zoe Penner going to Ghana to meet with Costa. And later on, we know that, according to Muhammad Ali, he told me personally, he said that Representative Zoe Penner took money to Costa in Ghana and gave Costa money in Ghana. According to Muhammad Ali. That's why he told me. And then after the fight, we started the year before all the stories started to come on. And then obviously you heard Yeke Koruba also stating that they took money. And then when you put all these things together, a logical mind would deduce that indeed the protest was sold out. That's why it did not yield anything.
Oh, that's why you guys withdrew.
That's what, yeah. And then after that, we back away because most of the people that were in the back and also supporting the protest, they told us that our attack on Costa and the protests were hurting the movement and weakening the opposition. Our argument was, if we as an opposition are not concerned about the shady characters within our rank, just as much as we are concerned with George, we have a problem. Their argument was, regardless of what is going on, we still supposed to stand with the protest because we'll be weakening the opposition. This came back to our moral, the way we're brought up again. So we said, no, we're not going to stand for that. So they concocted lies, they concocted videos, and they started to share. So everybody started to attack us. We went from Ebola hero and Elton Loon hero to traitor, Senegalese, foreigner. And they started to insult our mom. They started to curse her. They started to aggressively attack us, attack our character, attack everything. So because of that, we abandoned the protest and we decided to fight back. And that's how we back away from the protest.
So you're talking about the June protest, right? The June protest?
The June 7th protest, yeah. In a nutshell, that was pretty much what transpired.
All right. Okay, so I believe Hassan is concording with that, right?
Yeah, it's true. That's what happened. In fact, we were actually going to Liberia when we got that news that those guys had already told the government that they could not get on board with whatever they have planned to do with the June 7th. So when we received that threat, we changed ticket and went to Senegal instead. So I was in Senegal for a couple of days.
4 days.
4 days in Senegal in Dakar, and then from there we took a flight to Guinea, and we stayed in Guinea until the protests over, and we came back to the US because at that time we couldn't go to Liberia. But upon our return,
let me tell you one of the reasons we went to Guinea. We went to Guinea because we got information about some business dealing and property that George Weah had acquired in Guinea. That was the main reason we went to Guinea.
In Senegal.
In Senegal, to investigate. But a lot of people don't know that. It just went there to marry me. But that was not. It went there to investigate property that George Weah acquired in there.
Okay, and I know we're almost out of time here, but all of this that you're going through, all that you've gone through, having a talk show, writing, wanting to change the system, there are other critics out there who think that you cannot be far away to make a change unless you get on the ground, and so that Liberians can see you tangibly doing something in order to bring change. Do you agree with them?
No, I don't. You see, the difference between our style of advocacy is different because we are not interested in political power. We're not interested in running for political office. So we are not filtered in our approach to situation. As we speak, as we see it, without fear, without any reservation, we just speak boldly to situation. A lot of times in Liberia, you don't find that with a lot of people, especially people that have political ambition. They are usually swayed by crowd. Where a lot of people is gravitating, that's where you will see a lot of them going. For us, we don't. We fight based on our ideals and value, things that we strongly believe in. That's what drives us. So you can still be far away and effect change in Liberia. I tell you this, some of the things that we do on social media, it resonates a lot in Liberia. When we went to Liberia in 2019, I was shocked. There's a town somewhere in, how you call the place?
Coming from Birmingham.
Around the border area. We reached to the town. When we reached to the checkpoint, the immigration lady and other people, she saw her, and the lady, when she saw her jaw drop, she was like, her eye just lit up, and she was like, "The FADIGA brother, what are you doing here?" She was shocked. That tells you the power of social media, the power of advocacy. This lady was able to recognize her way in the bush, in the rural area in Liberia, even in Bone County, even in Nima County, even in Bikeno. There are people that will be able to say, we know these guys, and we know. So regardless of where you are, your voice should be authentic. Once people respect your voice and respect what you do, it doesn't matter where you are. You will make an impact.
Okay.
So you can make it. We have raised money through our advocacy to help other people. We have protested in the U.S. We have also organized protests in Liberia. So I think we have done a lot.
Okay. And that's a lot to do. And the Liberian politics, we know how risky it is. You will have critics always, and you have to, stand firm in your position. There will be allegations, there will be assumptions and presumptions about what you say and what you do. Some true, some half true, some lies, and it's all wrapped up around the idea of tearing each other down or one another down. But you see, our country right now, we looking forward to the 2023 elections, okay, and we are hoping that everything will turn out right, because we announced we want to seek peace instead of combating or fighting each other. Now, what do you see so far as Liberia's future for the younger generation of young people, those who aspire to be not just politicians, but maybe getting to other academic areas for career and looking at leadership as a whole? What will you say to your listening audience from your own perspective, based on your own analysis? Because both of you are involved in knowing the day-to-day activity when it comes to governance in our country. What will you say?
Uzi, you want to go? I like to go.
Let me go. For me, Liberia is one of those places that our connection to Liberia have been from there. But Liberia has some serious problems, and that has been my frustration through all the years, even doing advocacy. Sometimes you just want to like give up, but there's something that you keep doing it. I'm sure other of us had this story that we keep wanting to connect to this country that from every indication has failed, and our leaders have failed and continue to fail us. The younger generation seems to be heading in that same direction because, like I said, most of my peers did not grow up in a family environment where they have people to look up to. So who do they look up to? Hold on, yeah, I got to see one of my clients, and let me just tell her that I'll be coming there.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay, let me just step in. Uzi,
I'm coming. I'm doing it.
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
Regarding my hope for the future, especially in Liberia, I'm cautiously optimistic, and the reason is I've seen a lot. I've lived long to have seen a lot, and I've come to the realization that regardless of who is president of Liberia, the culture of pervasive of corruption, of impunity, of political prisoners will still remain. It's not going to change. And unless we change our mindset, unless we recondition the mindset of the youth that are coming up, I don't see it changing in our lifetime. Liberia has a long way to go. The country is messed up. It's really messed up. To change it, we have to be hungry for that change. And individual, we have to look deep down into every individual and decide that this country is our country. It belongs to every one of us, and we all have a stake in its development. And in order to change it, we all have to contribute to its to change the country. If we cannot cultivate that mindset, I'm afraid we're not going to see any genuine change in our lifetime.
Let me just so let me buttress what Hassan is saying, and I feel similar way. In the last 2 years, well, a couple of years ago when COVID came, I took a bold step. I had a very good job. I would say at the pinnacle of my career. I had a good job. They could fly me all around the world. I was living when COVID came. Uh, I don't know why, but I think I kind of know why. I retired. At my age, I retired. And a lot of people felt that I was crazy, that people were, people pray to be in my position, but why would I abandon it? But I think it was God that was speaking to me. I think it was, I don't know why, but I'm not a religious person, but I have faith in most of what I do. And I resigned, I resigned to pay my severance. I started a business in Africa. So for the last 2-3 years, I've been in Liberia and Guinea, between Liberia and Guinea, in West Africa. So I was just going and coming. And the first thing that I noticed with being in Liberia is that Liberia is different from all our neighbors. The mindset in Liberia is very different. I'll give you one example before I go specifically to Liberia. I was in Guinea when the military took over from Alpha Conde. And the night my brother had come, the night before, the same night that they took over. So the plane came, landed, picking up from the airport. He went to the Sheraton. I went to the apartment. So I went to sleep. The next morning, Guinea there had been a coup d'etat. Now, when coup d'etat in Liberia or any military things of that nature, the first thing in my mind, there will be looting, there will be killing, they will start killing ministers, and like the Liberian mindset kicking. But do you know what I saw? The only thing that changed on that day was the president. The people were in the market selling. All to this day, nothing changed in the country. Well, the economy is getting bad now, but nothing changed. Nobody killed no minister. Nobody killed the children. The only people that died that night were military people. Like nothing happened. That's how it was. Like nothing happened. And the reason that was possible in Guinea, I think, is because 80 to 90% of the people are entrepreneurs. Guinea got a lot of millionaires. Guinea got, I would say, over 1,000 people that got access, money, wealth, million. They're in thousands. And these people got their money outside of God. Some of these people don't even know what government is. A lot of these people just get up in the morning and go to hustle. The learning members importing here, they are importing things as well. Just how you see them buying up things in Liberia. Because before I left from Liberia, the Fulani were already finished buying the whole Akira Street. Benson Street, they were buying all the prime land. Put money together and do it. So that is not what you see in Liberia. If you look what success looked like in Liberia, it looked like a big, massive mansion built by one corrupt official. So when a child growing up, the only thing that he knows how to do is to one day aspire to be a politician, to build those scenes, I call it tower and monument of corruption. You see how they call it one they say corruption King Kong Alistair. As soon as before hitting the city on Ralph, see how you see this big monument, tower of corruption. You go around, you see what success look like. Is dormant. You rarely find people that are successful that got their money outside of God. So what it's like it becomes like a lucrative a field. So most people want to go there. That's one. The second thing there is the war. The war broke, destroyed every fabric in our education system with everything that is still,
Mm-hmm.
um, not up to par with a lot of other countries. And I made something the other day. I made a post the other day, and someone got mad at me. But it doesn't mean I hate Liberia or like one other country more. I just make this observation because I travel a lot and I've seen a lot. I was telling someone the other time, I say, if you go to Guinea or Ghana or most of the other African countries, in college, most of the college students are between 18 to 25 years old. Most of the students. If you see your kids in school by 25, 26, they're probably going to get a master's or second master's. That's how it is in Guinea, how it is in most of the other countries. Even before the war, that's how it used to be. In Liberia, the adults, parents in the 50s, 60s, 40s, they are probably almost an equal amount in the university, the national higher institution. And you see, Liberia is the only country that you see a minister or lawmaker that already should be legislating or doing something, or already have a career and making money for the family, using that opportunity to go to school. You don't see any other country. And then someone will say, oh, there's no cap on what time you can finish school. Yes, there is no cap, there's no time. You can go to school anytime. But if people are doing it, if 1 and 2 off here, it could be an exception. But when you see half of the nation population are people that are already with decision maker trying to go and better themselves, it says a lot about that community. That means we're lacking human development. It says a lot because when you go to school and learn math, physics, algebra, all those things, you do not just learn it. You may never use it in your lifetime. The reason we learn all the things gave us that ability, that analytic ability to reason and rationalize and think. Those are some of the things that education does. It make you bring up that innovation in you. And you see our leaders are people that still going to school to do this and do that when they should be already people in a career, and making things happen and legislating and making things happen, still trying to get a career. It says a lot about our workforce. That is the reason why mediocrity have taken over. That is the reason why we barely get anything done, because people that are in position of authority are the least amongst all. Not least in a denigrating sense, but these are people that in a normal society should not be in those positions. You understand it? And those are some of the things that I observed from going to Senegal, Ghana, Guinea, even Guinea. Because a lot of times we tend to look down on Guinea. But Guinea has passed Liberia. And then the worst thing about us is our population. It's supposed to be a good thing, but with our population and our natural resources, I think we have a country that if we have a well-managed government, every Liberian, I mean those that identify as Liberian, that is documented and something that we can pay every citizen in Liberia to sit at home. We can pay every citizen, because in the whole South region, go to Guinea, the population of Liberia is almost the same as the population of just Conakry. Go to Sierra Leone, go to Ghana. We're in a 4 or 5 million that we cannot pass. The rest of our neighbors are between 12 to 30 something million. And there is power in population, economically, everything. You in Wisconsin, look, Iowa, all those places, they were farms. Look, Minnesota, those were all farmland. When they started bringing all refugees here, coming here, we're thinking that we're coming in the states, coming in drive and say, look where we are in it. These places that are urban era. All those white people that own those farms and those valueless land are all millionaires now. And look where we are. We do not even have purchasing power. I used to ship to Guinea. I will carry 2 containers, and that container will be, people will buy their container in 2 weeks. In Liberia, 6 months, people still sign us. So Liberia is not only more expensive, Take a while for people to swim because we do not have that purchasing power. So now, so the numbers too is there. Then we have a workforce that is half of them very incompetent. Then you see a lot of older people that are going to school and cannot give the kids the chance to go to school. You know what happens if 60% of our adults are already successful, that are making money, going to school with children that they are capable of exploiting, because we do not have that thing there. How many of you want to go to school with an 18-year-old in college, community college? I'd rather do some online courses. Most adults would not want to be messing around in college with all those small children. Some people do it, but it's just far and few in between. So I want to allow my race, and now people are like, oh, no. There's no time you can go to school anytime. Yes, you can go to school anytime. But you cannot have a nation that almost 30% of the adult population that's supposed to be living and taking care of the children still going to school, say they can get career. Go and get career to do what? At 40, 50, 60, 65. I mean, if you change your career, you're already successful and you just want to have a few good moments, that's a different thing. These people are actually going to school to build themselves, acquire something. Then they say the war. Yeah, some of the things in the war, but some of the
somebody will say to your argument is that looking at the Liberian situation where people did not have the time or the opportunity to go to school at the younger ages somewhere, did not have the opportunity because of where they grew up. You had your parents who really worked towards making sure you went to school. Some did not have that. Some were selling in the young age, had to be breadwinner along with the parents. So they have not seen the opportunity now to go back to school. So the question would be, why would you want to discourage them?
No, I'm not discouraging it. I'm just saying that you're talking about what I think about the young people. I'm like, the younger generation, I feel sorry for them because a lot of them will not have that opportunity to grow up as youth because of all these barriers that are in front of them. This is where I have that. I don't have problem with that. You can do whatever you want to do at any time of your life. But the reason why I'm saying this is we have cultivated this mindset of degree and credential. So because we have placed heavy value on credential, a lot of people are going to acquire credential and they do not have the knowledge. They cannot even articulate what they are learning. And people just offer greater masters, this and that, 2, 3 masters, when you cannot even make money on one. So you see the kind of country that we have? Then Ellen King again, she just exacerbated the whole situation when she started bringing people from the diaspora. So we need to probably reduce in America, your degree is nothing if you don't have experience. I don't care how much they would rather you someone that's still on the drug that doesn't have a degree for 20 years than someone. So probably we can start cultivating similar mindset. Like let's start getting career people that have been on the field for long and start treating them in some certification and getting them the requisite skills versus just getting empty piece of paper. So because of that paper now, our children now have to be competing with their parents and grandparents. They have to sit down in class with them. And then the exploitation part, we can talk about that another time. And something. So it becomes, we have a very complicated and complex society. Probably we need to.
Indeed. And I mean, you presented the situation as you see it from your point of view, and a lot of people who have come on this platform that met with Alex and I or talked with Alex and I have the various views on what's happening in Liberia and how what the way forward will be. So your take on that it gives another perspective, which I'm sure the listeners will appreciate as far as you see it. So let me
add one last thing there that I observe.
Okay.
Drugs addiction. Addiction is becoming it's not only Liberia. I see it in other countries as well. It's a national crisis. A white journalist told me that almost 10 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, about crack cocaine and the opioid in Liberia. They call it. They got different names for
tramadol,
and all of something. The drug crisis in Liberia. I see it in the U.S. I see it all over. If it is not put under control, we're going to lose that youthful population because drugs is becoming easier to get down, or it's coming in pill form. It's easy for people to pop it. They are more deadly and more dangerous. The side effect is something, and then for a population that have a huge mental health crisis that have been undiagnosed, you do not want to deal with that kind of dual occurrence,
Diagnosis.
dual diagnosis. So uh, that's a serious problem again that I observe with our something the prevalence of drugs. So we need textual laws on those things. So when I look at the generation, when we were growing up, we never, I mean, the biggest drugs we saw there were opium, marijuana, but now with all these different things, very lapsed, weak laws, drugs enforcement law, or the unwillingness of people. I saw the arrests on Nigerian the other day. I think they should execute drug dealer. Based on working with people with that population now, I think they should be executed. Now I understand why they have been very hard on people. Now you know what they would do? They would drop it in the community to make the children. They actually create an environment for the children to get hooked on. Some of these drugs dealers will even give it to them free for the first few times.
When you say executed, Hassan, what do you mean? Mean extrajudicial situation?
Murder. They should be killed.
Who should be executed? Go to court and conviction or what?
If they are found guilty, they should be hanged or by firing squad. These people are murderers.
That clarification doesn't say some people will not misconstrue what you're saying as just.
No, I'm saying it. I'm not messing my words. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's a very dangerous thing. If you see what drugs can do to people and how it is killing generation, even in America and around the world, I know what I see. It's not a good thing, especially for a country that do not even have the treatment, got other things to deal with. They need to really do something about drugs.
Wonderful. So what I'm hearing saying is that those who are accused of trafficking drugs and things like that should be taken to court and conviction, and then
they should be death by hanging or execution. That would serve as some deterrent. They should deter those people because they are killers. They are murderers. These guys are killing. They just sent another guy for killing 11 people with fentanyl. Pure fentanyl, yeah, 11 people they sent him.
Well, I tell you what, you and Hassan have really brought a new light to some of the issues that are plaguing our society, locally, globally, and nationally, as we can say. So we really spent a lot of time today on the discussion. We went way into our time we should be ending because we want to really get into the crux of this issue because it's a serious matter, and the discussion may not end today. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised when we invite you and Hassan back here to delve more into these issues that you raised today, because we have to start us out winding down now. So Ellis, it's back to you.
Yeah, okay. So that's how we wrap up here. But before we do that, I just want to give you each of you just 1 minute each to wrap up here. Now for you, Al Hussein, UJ in Basa mean hold on, I'm a Basa man, okay? You Jimmy, yeah. For the sake of my child. Yeah, for the sake of my child. My Basa name that my parents gave me is Gawe. When I was born, I was very little, very tiny. So Gawe means little man.
But you're still tiny, man. You're still tiny. Don't change.
I got some muscles. So I put some muscles. So what is your Basa name, Hassan?
Menji.
What does that mean, Basa? Man. Menji. Man.
Dying business. So yeah, let me give you a brief history on how we got that name. When my mom was pregnant with us, she had a blood clot in her leg, and she had complications with her pregnancy, and she nearly died. But she refused to abort the pregnancy. So when we're born, it's like child business is dying business. There's a risk associated with child business. So child business, it could be dying, could be death.
Yeah, wow, that's significant indeed. That's very significant. Thanks for sharing that. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything do you want to wrap up with before we leave from here? At least 1 minute each, because we got.
Thank you guys for having me on. Sorry we've been missing the time. I can be very busy. I do not I tend to be very, very busy. Like, data, I barely have enough time. But I'm glad we were able to do this, and thank you guys for inviting us.
Great.
Hassan?
Again, it's a humbling experience to have us on the show. I thank for having me and my brother on the show. Like he said, me too, I've been very, very busy, but I'm glad that we're able to find time within our busy schedule to have this interview today. So thanks again.
Yes, and we appreciate your time that you gave us, so that you can talk about your story. Now we know a whole lot about you know how you grew up, your family life, and the challenges, and some of the things that you were able to overcome. And even now, with your involvement in advocacy, it is something that I believe our country needs as well. Well, we may invite you guys again, but it was a great time here having you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
Appreciate it.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that was very fascinating, Reverend Dede. And
Yeah.
this is how we conclude here for our Saturday's podcast. We'll be back here again next Saturday. And don't forget, tomorrow is Sunday. We're having a special Sunday edition, and that'll be at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 p.m., 8 a.m. Eastern Time. 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And in Liberia, it's going to be 12 p.m. Now, for you, if you live on the in the Pacific time zone, like California, it is going to be around 5 a.m. in the morning. Okay, but you can still go to our website, gracioushopefellowship.com, or you can go to our Facebook page or YouTube page, look for Gracious Hope Bible Fellowship, and you'll find our page and you can rewatch or get a replay. Until then, on behalf of Reverend Suah Deddeh, my name is Alexander Redd, and we'll be back here again. And please share this link. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.